Hi everyone, welcome to today's highly anticipated webinar. We're looking at smarter service management, boosting IT visibility and control with HaloITSM and Virima. We're really looking at mastering modern IT operations with HaloITSM and Virima together. Just going through the agenda today. First of all, I'm Jason from HaloITSM. I'm going to guide you through how the two powerful technologies, Halo Service Management Platform and Virima's Automated Discovery, can work together to revolutionize your IT operations. Now, today we're going to go over the welcoming and the strategic partnership overview, why Virima is working with HaloITSM and vice versa, understanding the value that this integration brings to enterprise IT world. Further after that, we're going to introduce Franco, who our guest speaker today, who's going to go through a technical walkthrough of Virima's automated discovery capabilities. Alongside that, we're going to go through some capabilities within the Virima platform that can help with your IT operations as well. After that, we're going to see the integration in action between Halo and Virima. We're going to work together in real time, and we're going to showcase the import of data together, including the relationship data, which is what we're really focusing on today. At the end, of course, we have a live Q&A session. This is where everyone can feel free to use our question and answer functionality on Zoom meeting here to ask questions directly to myself, Will, who's a moderator today, and as well, Jason from Halo. Now, moving on, I'm delighted to introduce our guest speaker we have with us today. Franco, the Director of Solution Engineering of Virima. Franco brings a unique blend of technical expertise and strategic vision to today's conversation based of his experience playing pivotal roles in shaping how these technology delivers value across multiple organizations, such as Disney, DKG. He's also known for bridging the gap between the complex IT environments and practical business outcomes. Today, he'll be sharing with us the insights drawn from the real-world experience and deep industry knowledge, focusing on how the Virima product can drive benefits across different organizations. So get ready for an informative sessions. Now, moving on to the actual webinar, what I think everyone is actually interested in. Today's IT environment are more dynamic and complex than ever. They're evolving at an incredible pace. Most of our customers are managing sprawling infrastructures, diverse cloud system, and maybe an even increasing in demand for instant services. More than ever, so clarity, control are essential. And that's where the integrated solution, like between Halo and Virima, come into play. Together, Halo and Virima are really redefining how operations can be done with a connected and a data-driven approach. At HaloITSM, as a lot of you guys already know, we've always believed in the power of data-driven decision-making. We do understand that the data is a backbone of pretty much everything you do in a service management world, from incident management to change control. But to make these more efficient, these data must be accurate and constantly updated to allow us to make informed decisions. Hence, we partner up with Virima, who's an industrial leader in automated asset discovery and dependency map. Together, we address one of the most common IT challenges is maintaining an accurate, up-to-date CMDB. With this partnership, Virima ensures that asset discovery is continuous, eliminating gaps in your data. The HaloITSM platform uses data to fuel intelligent incident and change management, bringing context and additional information for every decision and actions the agent's making, allowing smarter service management with reduced manual effort. Really, at the end, what did they get out of it? It's a dynamic, reliable foundation for incident resolution, change control, and risk mitigation, powered all by automation and insights. Without human intervention, really, it allows us to resolve incidents quicker, but also allow us to plan ahead and look into the future. The future with us, with Halo and Virima together, it can definitely change how you see IT operations as a whole. Now let's take a moment and see why keeping accurate CMDB is more critical than ever, especially in the face of modern IT complexities. As I've mentioned before, IT environments are constantly changing. Manual updates can't keep up to pace. They're slow. It takes a lot of manual effort, which comes with costs. We then move on to obviously an automated process. And the most important part of the automated process is definitely discovery because it allows us to have real-time visibility, it allows us to mitigate risk, and we're allowed to operate if more efficiently. How so? A dynamic environment means that new assets and configurations are introduced daily, dependencies between assets shift, and they're also replicated and provided to your system of support, which is Halo. And the risk of these data also constantly updating, and the inaccurate data also replaced by these automated discovery data. And of course, Halo provide that microservice of Halo integrator to allow to facilitate the data to be imported into Halo on a daily basis. And there you have your CMDB up to date. Looking at automated discovery, this is where Virima really excels. Their discovery technology ensures that all assets, servers, network devices, anything you can think of in your network are continuously being discovered and mapped over into Halo. One thing that come out of this is the relationship data. First of all, Virima uses this machine learned dependency mapping to ensure that our customers can understand how our business servers depend on technology and how technology relies on each other. From understanding how the technology relies on each other, it allows us to find out the root cause of issues, mitigate any risk on future changes. The continuous feed of these accurate data allows our customers CMDB within Halo to stay dynamic, to be accurate, allowing to make informed decisions. Like I mentioned previously, we can also analyze real-time state of your IT environment, of your IT operations. Last but not least, one of the most important point is you gain full visibility into what's working, what's at risk, and what needs attention. This isn't just about maintaining a database. It's about using that data to actually drive operational efficiency, mitigate risk across the entire organization. I'm going to move on to Franco and see what he's got for us today.
Okay, thanks, Jason. I appreciate it. Hello, everyone. I'm going to share my screen, and I am Franco from Virima. Share. There we go. All right. Can you check me, Jason? Do you see my screen?
Yeah, I
Okay,
can.
fantastic. Okay, great. So visibility and control, those are super important. And you need visibility, obviously. That's what Jason's been talking about, visibility into your CIs. What do they do? What is the impact? How can I do things faster without errors, without failures? Well, that is possible with an intelligent CMDB when we're talking about doing these things with your CIs. So let's dig in. So this is the main UI into our CMDB. What is occurring here? Well, we have integration with Halo. So we are seeding for all intents and purposes and for clarity, let's call it it is the Virima Intelligence CMDB, but it is your discovery CMDB. So you are now going to be sending this data as it comes in to Halo as well. Okay. And so you'll be seeding that. Now, the maps that I'm about to show you, you'll still appreciate those inside of Halo as well. So the question is, well, that we pose to a lot of customers or prospective customers is, do you really know what you have? And of course, the answer is, of course, I know what I have. I have all of these products that are inventorying all of my devices. I've got Intune. I've got my head wrapped around all of my VMware estate. We even use RV tools, whatever, right? Go down the list of the different tools that an admin may use. But do you know how things are used and how they are interfacing with other products or devices? And you are going to ultimately say, well, maybe I didn't know that it did that, or I didn't know that I had that communicating with that. And that's what we will see. So here in this interface, we have the CI record. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time in here because these data sets that are coming in. They are machine intelligence. They are filling in the cells, the probe is, so it's doing a scan. And eventually this data is actually going into Halo itself. So on the left side is what I call the driver's license. We've got our confidence score. So it's very low. We haven't been scanning in a while. This means over 45 days. but we do have the data. And so we know we're confident that this data is in here. Now, something I want to talk about before I go into the maps, because we get a lot of questions about dupes. So order of operation is when we scan, we cannot do any scanning unless we have a server stood up in your environment. So we do have a requirement for a discovery app. That is a Windows server, but it could be physical or virtual. We don't care. It could be on the moon if you own a piece of the moon. As long as we can route to it and it can route to and ping the devices that we are going to scan, we will scan them. And if we have the credentials. So order of operation, stand up your server, add the credentials to the server, and then enter those subnets or IP addresses in the scanning module and fire them off. Really quick, it is doing a ping. Those that respond, it then does a port check. Is port 22 open? No. Is 135 open? Yes, it is. Oh, great. It's Windows. Does this Windows credential work? Yes, it does. Fantastic. Run this deep host probe WMI calls and bring me back my data. Okay. So that is how all of the data gets populated into here. So it's in here, but before it comes into the CMDB, we have a buffer, because what if the correlator that is configured out of the box in Virima is not applicable to your estate? What do I mean by that? Well, what is going to keep a Windows server unique inside the CMDB? What property field? Well, is it going to be IP address? Okay, let's say it is. And then 2 days later, after you've scanned all of these Windows servers, you've moved them in, or the automation has moved them into the Virima CMDB and even into Halo. Somebody says, wait a minute, we're using DHCP for those servers. Oh my gosh. So now we know we've got dupes because we've been scanning and scanning and scanning. And if those IP addresses are changing, depending on when they're changing, but let's say they're changing every couple of hours. Let's be mean. Okay. So now we've got tons of dupes. What am I getting at? That was the wrong correlator. So this is how you keep dupes out of your wonderful, beautiful, intelligent CMDB. And that is by selecting the correct correlator. So the correlator would be, for all intents and purposes, one of my two favorites would either be the serial number or the host name. Okay. And so going down to Windows, I would just update this to, let's just say we want host name. So I would change that to host name with the pencil. Now, why am I stuck on this? Why am I spending a couple of minutes on this? Because we're talking about seeding a CMDB and keeping that CMDB sanitized. We don't want to introduce nonsense, duplicates, bad data. So this is your first defense to that, is setting this up. What are we doing? We're hedging ourselves by not only allowing you to create the correlators, but we're making sure that things don't go into the CMDB first until they go through discovered items. And so that is where you're going to gate access to your CMDB by saying, okay, I have successfully identified the correlator for Windows servers, and I'm happy to let Windows servers now begin to populate into the CMDB. So automation will go and turn them on. Now, what about a device that we've never heard of? Some new Cisco secret squirrel router that's come out and we have no idea about it yet. Our folks in DevOps have not updated the fingerprint database. Well, we have a device called network device. In Virima speak, that is a device that we know nothing about. We don't have the MIBs, we don't have the device object IDs, but we know that it is on the network and it is a device. But we will not send it to the CMDB until you remediate it and tell us what it is so that we can scan it properly and give it the right fingerprint, which is the blueprint. Okay. So let's dig into those maps. Let's go into the CMDB and talk about some of the value adds. Why am I using Virima with Halo, and what are my insights? What is that visibility and what type of control? Well, I've conveyed some control, so let's go look at some more of the visibility. Maybe things like failed changes. I can't deal with any more failed changes. Great. That's what we want to hear. So you are now fast forward. You have done your scanning. You are on a schedule. Your maps are being built, refreshed on a weekly basis. Your CI records are going into Halo, and inside of Halo, you are able to appreciate these maps. A quick pause to talk about the ITSM overlays. There's a lot to drink in here in a positive manner. So these exclamations are incidents inside of Halo. Somebody opened an incident on this switch. It keeps rebooting. Why does it keep rebooting? What's going on? What changed? Oh, well, something changed because the double red arrows indicate that there was a change opened in Halo and it has since been closed. So, whatever this change is that causing the reboots on the switch? Black double arrows. And I apologize, this is a heavily used dev demo. This is a vulnerability shield. It should just be slightly to the right. This is not production yet. It's still in development. But there are double red arrows there that look like this. They're just covered up by my silly shield. Anyways, double black arrows, change that is open or change that has occurred but has yet to be closed. So it's one of those two. Okay. So in this case, I'm looking at this ecosystem, SQL 11, and my first question is, okay, did we have a successful change with this switch? Yes or no? And so now I'll do my due diligence. But before I do that, what is the enterprise service? What is the big rock that is being affected by this switch outage? So going to a depth, I've clicked on the pencil in the bottom right corner, and I've changed my depth to a depth of 4. So I'm doing a query in the relationships table. It's a join to pull in greater depth for what is shoulder to shoulder and beyond for SQL 11. So the first thing I will do is up on the left-hand side, I will type in enterprise service. Enterprise service is a CI record that a human created to facilitate an entry point into the ecosystem for SAP CRM. So in this case, if I springboard for clarity, if I springboard into SAP CRM to make it my entry point, I can see my map here that my entry point is SAP CRM, and there's an incident on that as well, and a vulnerability in the database. But my question was, what is the impact to the switch? Well, it's directly SAP CRM. Now, if I were using Virima and Halo with other peers and leadership that are highly technical, completely involved in the estate of our company, and have no need for entry points because we know that SAP Start and Oracle Database are SAP, then you would never have to create this. This is really to facilitate anyone who is not familiar with the automated entry points that were created. We call this the extended service map. While the service maps are created to this point, why not cap them off and give them a layman term that folks are going to understand and still be able to open up incidents and changes on those enterprise services? Okay. So failed changes, let's take it a step further. You've seen me react to this. So when I'm talking about reducing the mean time, to a resolution, I'm trying to resolve this issue. And I'm obviously talking a lot here, right? I'm going step by step. This will take seconds for you to click in here, boom, go here, go there, say, okay. But now this is a break fix. I'm going to resolve it. Who do I need on the call? Well, this is great because somebody has updated some of the fields for the ownership. So I know that Jay Jeffrey or someone from his team is responsible for this infrastructure. And then who is over the SAP stuff? David Graupner, who's the DBA, Scott, and you just go down the list, right? So do we have representation from all of these folks? Okay. Now, what about where you have a situation where what is the root cause of the break fix that failed or of the change that failed? Getting back to the whole cutting down failed changes. Well, let's use SQL Server as an example because it has a database and databases get patched a lot. So what if we forgot to look under all of the rocks? When we were deciding on making this change inside of this ecosystem? Okay. So SAP still has a thread into SQL 11, and then there's a whole bunch of ETL going out from SQL 11. But we've patched this SQL server. So what happened? Well, it was declared a failed patch because not that the patch failed, but the change process itself failed. Why? Because as a result of us not making sure that we communicated with everybody that has a plugin to the SQL Server, we introduced a Trojan into the environment. So it was clear that the change failed and the process failed. And I'll show that to you in just a second. So what did we fail to do? Well, we were stuck on looking at infrastructure. We were focused on getting everybody on the call and talking infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. Great. But did anybody really talk about the SQL and the software talking to software? No, we didn't go into the ADM view. It was grayed out. Okay. Process, maybe a process thing. Software for application dependency mapping, the entry point needs to be software. So now we open up a whole new world. So when we go into the ADM view, we are now looking at the software that is communicating with the other peer software to see what the heck is going on. And maybe let's go with this scenario. We bought a company maybe 6 months ago, and they still have legacy Microsoft Exchange servers. And the antivirus definitions that were being used by this database server went down for a couple of hours. And this poor person running this laptop called Optimus clicked on that email. And Optimus is a laptop running a Virima agent. So we know that he's always checking in and always, receiving data. And so data is always going to the CMDB from the agent, and we get the software utilization. So we have the metering turned on. So while this server, this desktop should only be communicating with, we're changing maps to the communication view, a Linux server, it is no longer just communicating with a Linux server. Here's that poor little Linux server down there that hopefully didn't get infected. But because of the infection, it is going crazy. It has spawned out all of these processes. Now, version 6.0, which is coming fast, but not fast enough for me and Will, is going, the whole UI changes, but just want to just give you this though. While you can see the process information on the dashboard for these outbound traffic, for this outbound traffic, in the sixth version, it's going to be right here. You're not going to have to go hunt for it. It will be here. So, if this thing's called Hot Dog 82, I'm going to kill you. It's there, and it'll show up, however many times we have these IP addresses out here. And some of them, are not collapsed. So we've got a +2, a +2 up here. So this thing went nuts. Okay. Now I'd like to flip the script and take advantage of this screen. This is also a fantastic map to use, the communication map, to determine completeness of your CMDB. What do I mean by that? Well, you look at the Optimus, okay? And it's a laptop. Let's just say it's a server for this scenario, right? So when I look at Optimus and I look at the Vivid map, which is the default map, Vivid being the Virima Visual Impact Display, I don't see anything. You're like, guys, at Virima, what? I don't see things hanging off to the right or to the left here. What's going on? Well, have you scanned everything that Optimus talks to? So going back to communication, let's say that all of these connections are legit. What I would be able to convey to you is, well, the only thing that it's talking to is Linux right now. And it looks like we're not getting a lot of data for Linux. Maybe it's a credential issue. And then you still have to scan all of these that are part of the Optimus ecosystem that it communicates with. Well, gosh, do I have to type in all those IPs? No, just do a rescan, pull them right in. Okay, and then you select your client, which is your scanner, and then you select what the scan is. 99% of your scan probes are going to use the deep host scan, right? It's kind of like a cursor. It's got them all baked in there. It'll bring back the database servers, the instances, firewalls, routers, switches, servers, etc. IIS, Tomcat, all the good stuff is going to come in through this. All right. Okay. So talking about, cutting down the failed changes, I think I beat that one to death. But what I'm getting to from here is maintaining that accurate CMDB and being able to do that by doing the scanning and then double checking with your maps, and then also having your maps support your incidents and your changes, the decision making behind them, of course, right? That's what you want to do. Jason, how am I doing for time? Apologize. 127.
Oh, we got plenty of time.
Oh, we got a couple minutes. Okay, good deal. All right. So let's do a quick drive-by on what we get, when we do the scans. So, and I want to emphasize something because you are going to be integrating with Halo. Remember that Halo is your system of record. So while you have a fantastic opportunity to extend the schema of Virima, and what I mean by that is be able to add more properties to the blueprints. So when I go inside SQL 11 and you say, you know what, let's say SQL 11 is a physical box instead of a virtual box. So I have all of this machine intelligence that has come in through here and it's populated all of these cells. But then I also have an opportunity to introduce human intelligence, and that would be data. So my caution is this: only insert human intelligence if it is not going to, if it's going to benefit the discovery process, and that is the beginning of where that data set should be conveyed. So in this case, maybe, the process is, well, once we discover the physical boxes, I would like some information in the life cycle section to indicate costs. What did that particular product cost us, that box cost us, and add it there. Okay. So maybe there would be a cost here. So you could add that in the admin panel, or you could do a bulk import and add it. It's all no code. So that's not going to change with version 6. It's all no code extending the schema. But again, just remember that is whatever you're doing is to appreciate the discovery part of it and then feed it into Halo. If you have something that is not going to fit that processor model, obviously do it in your system of record, which would be Halo. So on the left side, I call this the driver's license. Really quick, what is my confidence level in the data that I'm looking at? It's very low. Okay, so maybe can we do a quick rescan? If we can, why don't we just do a quick rescan and rescan now so that we have the latest and greatest? This case, very low, I have it set to 45 days. So I bet that if I did do a rescan, it would probably fail. Okay. If this were a desktop, laptop, and it were Lenovo, or server 2, Lenovo or Dell, we would pull in the warranty information here. So that would get into Halo as well. We have location tags. This is a different table. You set this up in the admin panel under location, and you can import all of your different locations. And then when you go to run a scan, you will enter that location in there. And so every CI for that subnet or subnets that you entered in the IP range will get that location. So when I go look at that CI record, I know that there was a Pittsburgh scan that ran and it pulled them all in and tagged them. And same thing for finance, for your department, you can tag them there. Now, traditional tags, I've been using the term tag, but real tags, when we think about, IT tagging, we do have an auto tag engine. If it finds X conditionally, it must, SQL server.exe, whatever, tag it as a SQL server. Starlight's found on it, that's obviously old, but boom, or Silverlight rather, tag it, Oracle database, whatever it is. You can also add your own tags. Okay. So you can do that as well. All right, well, let's just scroll through here really quick. You saw most of this. I was going up and down operating system. It's all going to be what you expect for a machine, to talking to a machine and getting those commands. Under the components, you have hard drives to IP connections and everything in between. So IP connections, that is that data that you're going to see in the communications map coming in, feeding off of this table. MMC certificates, super popular. Obviously, these certificates expire, so this is a report on the dashboard, which I will load up here really quick. Get that over there. So having that report on the dashboards is important. You can actually have it automate, send emails, etc. Windows updates. Maybe you want to double check that other product you're using for your Windows updates. Is it really doing its job? Do we have, based on our processes, are we seeing anything in Virima that says we're missing? No, we're not. It looks pretty solid. There are no patches that need to be applied, so that other product is doing its thing. But you could apply, maybe that breaks. You could apply patches here too if they did pop up. storage, services, all that good stuff. It is what it is. I want to highlight this for the interest of time. Installed software and software instances for Windows, Unix, Unix flavored. You wouldn't have installed, you have packages, but you still have software instances. Imagine a world where you have a CMDB with every single software item, the Google, the Microsoft, the uncategorized, all of these are all listed in the CMDB. It's going to get clogged. It's going to really be heavy. So why not have them as components? But wait, you tell me, but Crystal Dismark is a tier one app. I need that. It's got to be a software CI. No problem. Well, I'm glad you identified it. So you could do that this way. This is manual, obviously. We don't want to do manual, but we just show you that the technology is there. You're promoting this component to major software. So, and you could do this in a bulk method, just 2 clicks in the admin panel. Go to major software, feed it the file, boom, there you go. Now all of the software that are components are now major software that you indicated that they should be, and they will show up in the CMDB as software. And every single device that has that version installed on them will show up in the CMDB and in the maps as well. Okay. So dashboard, quick drive-by on that. You have some human intelligence there. Uh, you have your software query window. You've got bar charts, pie charts, donuts, master asset list, table views. This is obviously going to get a big UI change. It's still going to remain no code in 6. But yeah, you do have discovery support key metrics for supporting your scanning, etc. When you're in there, gosh, what failed? Why did it fail? And then can I pull a report with really some good meat on it, right? Which would be your scan weekly report, which is going to show you how to remediate those scans. Maybe most of them are invalid credentials or no credentials found. And you'll see those in some of those key reports as well. Okay. And remember what I was talking about with those processes? So there's 2 communication reports. Maybe the security folks would want to see this. I know that there's an appetite for them for all of our customers existing today. And that is the server to server communications authorized. That is what is talking to what in the Virima CMDB, and obviously Halo as well. What server to server communications unauthorized? What is talking to what? That is the what is talking is what is inside of Virima is talking to the target that is not in Virima. We don't know about it. So, and then we have the process, outbound process that is being called for those unknown or what we call infant CIs. Some folks call them ghost records and where they're going. Okay. So you have that as well to be able to, you've got actionable data. Okay. So it's good stuff. So I hope you see the value and the benefit with regards to those maps. Once we've seeded your CMDB, once we've put it into Halo, you now have changes, you have incidents, you have incidents where you're looking to see what changed, the maps. And I've only gone through half of the maps. I didn't even go through all the maps. And you can even customize your maps to convey the relationships you want them to convey. And another thing too is, let's say, for example, we have a few banking customers that do this, of the many we have, that they use the maps for audits as well. So they will tweak the map to have a relationship that conveys what the auditor wants it to convey, runs on, connects to, ETLs, whatever it is. And so they'll customize those as well to pass those audits. All right. Okay, Jason, I'll kick it back to you.
Amazing, thank you. Franco, I think we do have a question now while we're at it.
Yeah, yeah,
Steve's got a question to do with application baseline reports. I think there
sure.
could be a Virima answer and a Halo answer here, so I'll let you go first
Yeah.
and I'll supplement.
Okay. And what is it again? I'm sorry.
It was the capability to do application baseline reports with a what's changed variable, essentially the ability to see what new software has been
Yes.
installed per endpoint over the last 30
Yes.
days.
Yep, and I skipped that. My apologies. And that is that maybe I should be scripted. So, history. That is the history tab. So there's 2 opportunities to mine data and create that report. One is before you even get to the Virima CMDB, remember I showed you in the discovered items, the discovered items has changes as well, but I would defer you to a one data set, and this would be the changes itself that are now written to the CMDB. So there are two keywords that you would queue off of when creating the report or, having it created for you if you want to. Association and disassociation. So what happens is when you see something in here that says components, 52 components were disassociated since last scan. Well, that is software, processes, and so installed software, processes, software instances, and services. All four of those buckets. But obviously, the report would dwindle that down to specifically installed software and software instances. So that is telling you what was uninstalled. Then what was installed is going to be associated. So long answer, just showing you how, you would find that data and how you would create that report or have it created for you and the values that you're looking for. But the answer is yes, absolutely. Yep, you can totally. And you could use that for unauthorized changes. When you're hunting and pecking for unauthorized changes, or you suspect, you know what, I don't know about this. I think more was done than what they said, or we wouldn't be in this problem. So yeah. Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks
Yep.
for that, Franco.
I don't see the question. Oh, there we go. Okay. My problem is this thing keeps disappearing. All right.
So
So,
I
yep.
can add on to that as well, Steve.
Okay.
All the data, including the software, including any changes, all those are being migrated into Halo. So when data is changed within Halo, there's a change history tab per asset. Even though the data is updated via the Virima integration, those are all being audited within Halo as well. So we can query those data from the Halo database to get the information we need on a regular basis on a schedule.
Yep. Perfect. I'll take the what rights does the probe need. So I just want to show this real quick. You know what? While we're here, if you don't mind. So here's the architecture. So this is our requirements guide. We convey that, share this. This is that discovery app. Let me zoom in just a little more here. So the discovery app is sitting here. And this is, and then we see our output of what we're scanning, where we're going, and then we're firing it back up to the cloud. So then if we have our integration as well, that's actually going from the data set that's up here, not in the Discovery app, to Halo. Okay. But let me go to the question about the rights. So we have a chart, and there is obviously a firewall rules as well, right? So we've got to be able to get out. But the requirements for the authentication are right here. So, Windows servers, we're going to need admin credentials with elevated privileges. Linux, we don't need root. I know people freak out, yeah, you have to have root for all those commands. No, we're very specific in what we're doing. So we tell you where we need sudo. And so right here, for netstat or, if it's deprecated SS commands to be able to fetch those IP connections to do that netstat, and then DMID code as well. So I don't want to spend too much time on this, but if there is interest in, getting the requirements guide, obviously we'll get that for you as well. How nice does Virima play with service? Okay, well, you're answering that. How would offline near complete disconnected environment? How would it work with offline? So if it's offline, I can't get to it. So the question is there an appetite for agents for that, Ed? That would be the question. Okay, yeah. So then, yeah, thank you. That's cool. Yeah, so you would deploy the agent on the server or those endpoints, desktops, whatever they are, and then they're going to phone home. Now you do have the opportunity to deploy a work from anywhere discovery app, so that right here, those discovery agents would then phone in to that discovery app that work from anywhere and be able to get into the CMDB and report in with what they're doing and what they have. So yeah, absolutely. And that reminds me, just really quick, kind of went fast on that one thing with just the question about ServiceNow. We seed databases, CMDBs, but you can also deseed, and use Virima to deseed a CMDB. So we want to go from ServiceNow to Halo, right? So we're pulling in that data and we're pulling it into Virima, but not only that, we're leaving the ServiceNow data in discovered items as a buffer. And then we're doing new discovery, and you can compare the deltas to see what you get. Or is there any data in ServiceNow that you really need to keep? Or you just say nuke it. You know what? I don't care. Start fresh. And again, I'm going with a deseed, right? A reverse transfer. But yeah, so incidents and changes, you wouldn't see anything here with Halo because it's inside of Halo, the integrations control maps. There's nothing here. But again, if we want to go to Halo from any of these, heck yeah, we'll integrate to them and we'll pull them off. Okay. All righty.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd see we have a few more questions, but
Yeah, yeah. Let's go.
um, I'll probably I think we've got some time at the end for dedicated for those, so I will leave those
Okay.
for now.
Okay.
But move
I'll
on
stop
to the
sharing.
actual
Yep.
integration, and
Go for it.
don't really be sure those will be answered. So I would just jump on, cover all the agenda items today first, and we can look into those questions and answer them correspondingly. Um, Brian Code, do give me a nudge if you can see this, okay?
Yeah, hold on. Yep, got it. You're good.
Perfect. So here, what I've got is an asset module within Halo. Furthermore, you can see that I've got an integration setup, Virima being turned on. Most importantly, first of all, we do need to test the configuration. You can simply enter the naming convention, the URL, tenant ID, and an API token from Virima to make sure the integration is connected. Most importantly, of course, we want to look at the actual configuration of the integration. What we do in Halo with the integration with Virima is, first of all, we have site rules where we can apply logical condition to allow assets, CIs, to be allocated to different locations within your organization. In this example, I've set it to have no criteria where all CIs will by default go to the main site. You can see also if IP address, it can be a range of IP addresses, it can go to a certain location. Typical example of this could be an IP range belongs to a certain office location our customers got. Then they can say within IP range, CI within a certain IP ranges goes to the set location. Furthermore, the more important ones are the user matching field where you allow the last login user to be the assigned user of the asset. But again, you do have the miscellaneous setting that you allow the asset to be following the user's site rather than the site rules above. Every configuration option you see here today is available across the platform and between the Virima and the rest of the asset management tools. Virima does possess the most functionality and capability between the two, between the rest of them. Moving on to actually importing of data, you can see that there's an asset matching field, which is a unique identifier to identify assets, CIs, where they get updated rather than created, preventing duplication. And you can see a really simple no code based mapping exercise where you can map different Virima data points to Halo data points. Now, this is very important. This is essentially what information gets populated in your CMDB. So you like to incorporate as many data points as possible if you can. But what other things that it allows us to do is to do the logical condition on the asset type mapping. We understand that some of the discovered data might not be entirely suitable for yourselves in terms of how granular they get. For example, maybe a laptop could be a Chromebook or could be a Windows laptop. For that reason, we've also allowed more granularity within Halo. You'll see a very, very similar screen in the previous site screen where the asset type is the outcome, and then you can apply, again, logical condition to determine the asset type of the CI. Furthermore, you can see that we've got miscellaneous setting for rolling out of the CMDB, but one of the most important and key aspect here is the import of asset relationships, where the vivid diagram we saw earlier will be imported as an iframe into Halo, where that vivid diagram, the vividness of those CIs can be portrayed within the Halo platform, allowing Halo to be a system of support whereas Virima will be source of truth and system of record. Extending a little bit onto that, since Virima discovery is so good and it also comes with software metering functionality, etc. It means that it takes up software licenses, and that also means Halo then can use those data to do software asset management, where we can match importer software to client licenses based on name. And then from that onwards, an organization can have full visibility on its IT licenses and apply some license management processes. Furthermore, we also allow not creating new assets for any organizations that is maintaining their CMDB to keep clean record of everything they've discovered so far. But we also allowed the deactivation of CIs within Halo and the deleted of Virima. What does that mean? That means when an asset is not discovered by Virima, the asset is also deactivated within Halo, essentially taking out your CMDB. So going back to the point where your CMDB is constantly updated, providing a real-time state of your IT environment. Last but not least, since we're talking on that topic, we have to keep our CMDB dynamic and up to date. And from Halo side, we offer a microservice called the Halo Integrator, where it can be hosted, because Virima is also hosted. That can be hosted by Halo in the backend that does a sync automatically on a daily basis. Now, that really keeps your CMDB up to date with the important data, so the informed decisions right at the time on the spot, and it's all real time. Now, anyone got any questions so far regarding the integration? More than happy to give it a stop there. If not, I'll go through a real live import. Cool. I'll take that as everyone's happy. Moving on to here, you can see before today's call, I've already imported our our CIs. Within our CIs, you can see that the data has been mapped over, including the name, the serial number, etc. Now, if I go into the integration, if I look into a rule, let's pick the first one. You can see serial number contains any of these values. And you can see that the CIs I'm demoing with actually does contain the same value. So automatically upon import, this asset will become the virtual server asset type. What I'll quickly do is change this into an air conditioning unit, right? And actually go back to here and say we allow the changing of the asset type for existing or match assets. Now you can see that if I go into this asset name and put Halo webinar and simply just saving this value and going back into Halo, if all I need to do is press import assets and look for the specific assets I've got, and you can see that data's already been updated. All I need to do is press start. It'll show me it's done. On a simple refresh, you'll be able to see that the name of the asset has been updated. Now, I did it in a manual way, but of course, like I said before, these are all being handled by the Halo integrator. So everything is being handled in the background and an automated process. Do we have any questions so far? If not, I'll jump back onto the slide. Oh, we have a question. So I'll share my screen and go through this now. Can we do that? The added value is to give us a service maps. Okay, while we have a question, I'll answer that now. Halo itself does not possess asset discovery capabilities. However, we do allow manual import of data. But like I said previously, the importance of your to achieve the benefits of quicker resolution of incidents, better manage change control, risk mitigation. Those require dynamically updates of the CMDB, and hence we're using Virima to provide that data. So Virima really here is a source of truth and is a system of record. So it's doing just a little bit more than discovering data for us. Adding on to HaloITSM, it allows us to resolve incident data, etc. Cool. Now I'm gonna move on to the slide. So what does this mean for IT operations combining the both solutions? Let's break it down into the key benefits. It's going to reduce mean time of resolution. Why? Because we can provide a better, faster incident response. Now with more accurate and up-to-date asset data, clear relationships between assets upon a few clicks, teams and agents can quickly determine the cause and the impact of the incidents. This leads to a significantly reduced mean time to resolution because now the cause of the issue can be identified as quickly as possible, allowing the agent to focus on the resolution of the actual incident. We also have smarter change management and increased mean time between failures. With these continuous updates, change management becomes more confident and accurate. You know what assets are involved. You can access the impact of changes in real time. That really allows you to shorten and predict any failure that you have to fix. Following on to that, it does with real-time insights into your CI dependencies and vulnerabilities. We can proactively mitigate these risks and plan better. And then eventually we can cut down further failed changes. Now, with integration, it's always great to have an accurate CMDB. Now, alongside that, automating the discovery and population, it can always be dynamic and reliable. So at the end of the day, when we support our customers or support our internal users, we really rely on the accuracy of those data to maintain service level and compliances with these. Last but not least, this is really what it's about. It's about making informed, smarter, and more agile decisions. That with the data provided, your agents, your teams can allow to resolve incidents, fulfill requests, complete changes a lot quicker than they used to. And with more data, it also allows us to apply more automations in our processes, meaning that our agents and team can focus on other areas of the business where their attention is most needed. It's not just about the technology, it's about actually improving your ability to respond to today's IT challenges quicker and more accurate. And on that note, I'm going to jump to the Q&A session, but I do realize there's some questions on the Q&A chat, so I'm going to go through those as well. Is there a charge on the HaloITSM side? So hi, Zach. There's no charge on the ITSM side for the number of assets brought into the platform. So there's two complete separate pricing model. Virima based the prices on number of server OS discovered, as well as desktop OS discovered. Whereas Halo is built by agents. So regardless of how many assets you bring in from Virima into Halo, there would not be an additional charge.
Yeah, so if it was an agent based, we could, detect the GPO change. Agentless, yeah, I'm not aware of us doing anything with agentless.
Yeah, and hey Franco,
Might get,
let's read the question so everyone knows the what
yeah,
the
go
answer
ahead.
we're answering. So so if there is a group policy change that should impact a subnet of computers or servers, it can see what machines the group policy change was made on.
Yeah. Now here's the good news. So we extend probes all the time. I mean, that's just what we do. It's probably, I would say 75% of our customer base is, it has purchased us because they realize how flexible and agile we are and how quick we respond to these changes. And there's no charge. So I can tell you just with this would be a small, minor tweak to our command base to be able to detect those GPO attribute changes.
And thanks everyone for joining today and participating. And I hope it's been really beneficial to everyone for us to have a better glance on the IT operations side and in terms of IT visibility and how discovery tool combined with Halo can drive, like Virima combined with Halo can drive a lot of benefits for organization to achieve operational efficiency.